You know, with all of the roller coasters of running for president, he still is such a wonderful husband.
There's nothing unusual about the real-life running mate of a presidential candidate gushing about their spouse.
What made you fall in love with him?
His heart. He made me feel so loved.
But Chasten Buttigieg professing his love for the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg, is groundbreaking.
What a gift, what a privilege to be able to share this experience with him and go out there and show up for people who need him the most.
The success of his husband, the first openly gay man to launch a major presidential campaign in U.S. history, is itself historic. When Mayor Pete declared victory in the Iowa caucus,
we are going on to New Hampshire victorious,
and finished a close second in New Hampshire,
we are here to stay.
There was Chasten right by his side, beaming.
The love of my life, who keeps me grounded. How about a hand for the future first gentleman of the United States? Let's hear it for Chasten.
Chasten Glesman met Pete Buttigieg on the dating app Hinge in 2015.
I won't lie, it was the picture of him in the military. I tell the truth. And I fell hard and fast for Pete.
3 years later, they got married, Chasten taking his husband's last name.
I just want our kids to have the same last name. This is probably going to sound really funny, but I really like Buttigieg.
They were married for less than a year before Peter, as Chasten likes to call him,
I am a proud son of South Bend, Indiana, and I am running for president of the United States.
decided to run for president.
So how has that been for your marriage? I mean, essentially, you're still newlyweds.
Yeah. I mean, there's no denying it's hard, but it is a sacrifice that's worth making because I have seen Peter go out there and change people's lives. So I'm very proud to share him with the rest of the country.
Now, at just 30 years old, Chasten has become a powerful force on the campaign trail, amassing hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter and Instagram, using both platforms to support his husband.
You've become somewhat of a secret weapon of the campaign. I've heard at fundraisers you are responsible for about like a third of the money that comes in.
If you're looking for a presidential fundraising powerhouse, you know, people probably don't look for a middle school drama teacher, but I think I can connect with people. I know what it's like to feel like this country doesn't stand for you.
Pete Buttigieg is campaigning on a message of inclusion.
This is our opportunity to build the most inclusive coalition that we have seen in modern times.
But many are questioning if the country is ready for a gay president.
According to a Gallup poll that came out in January, 21% of Americans said that they would not vote for a gay president. Does that number surprise you, either being high or low?
No, but again, I focus on the work. I focus on going out there and showing people who I am. And I think we have an opportunity right now to beckon Americans to a higher calling and to welcome people onto the right side of history.
Conservative radio show host Rush Limbaugh recently weighed in on the matter.
They've got to be saying that despite all the great progress and despite all the great wokeness and despite all the great ground that's been covered, America's still not ready to elect a gay guy kissing his husband on the debate stage president.
At a CNN town hall in Nevada this week, Buttigieg hit back.
One thing about my marriage is it's never involved me having to send hush money to a porn star after cheating on my spouse.
We've heard from Pete in his response on that. What's your
Sure.
response to it?
I've been dealing with this my whole life. I dealt with a multitude of Rush Limbaughs when I was walking through the hallways of my high school. You saw that Pete is ready to go toe-to-toe with this president, and Pete can take on, you know, the likes of Rush Limbaugh. But I'm more worried about the kids. I'm more worried about the people in this country who are watching how we treat this candidacy, treat this campaign, and the way we treat people who for so long have been attacked by people like Rush Limbaugh and this president.
Chasten's ascent to what would be the nation's first gentleman was not always easy. He grew up in rural Michigan, where he says he always felt different.
I grew up in a pretty socially conservative place. I went to a school where, you know, if you weren't on the football team or one of the jocks, that, you know, you were picked on and bullied and belittled.
Being gay made things even harder.
At one point, you were homeless?
You know, when I came out, I was certain that I'd lose everything. I was so certain that rather than stick around and find out if it was going to be okay, I ran away from it. And sometimes I slept on my friends' couches and floors, and sometimes I felt like I was a burden, even on my friends, and so I would just sleep in the back of my car. But I have a happy ending to that story. I got to go home. I got to go home to two loving parents who were terrified for me because they loved me, but they knew it was going to be hard. And I'm very, very lucky. Not every kid has that story. 40% of homeless youth in this country are LGBTQ.
It was his own experience that shaped Chasten's work as an advocate for LGBTQ youth.
I have spent the last year traveling and meeting with kids all over the country. In the last year alone, I've visited about 100 LGBTQ centers and homeless service providers, meeting with kids, sharing my story and listening to theirs.
He says this election is not about policy. For him, it's personal. From homelessness to health care to the Me Too movement, Chasten says he can relate, even recalling a time he says he was sexually assaulted when he was 18.
I don't know what it was about society that made me feel somehow that I had done something wrong, and to feel such shame and guilt for somebody else taking advantage of me. And I'm so grateful for everyone who has spoken up, because it made me feel less alone, too.
While they live in South Bend with their 2 rescue dogs, Truman and Buddy, the campaign trail often keeps them apart.
Unfortunately, we're not going to our home as much, and so we're just passing each other in the sky.
But Chasten says through the craziness of the campaign, his husband never lets him forget how loved he is.
He's really good at that. He is really good at taking the time to write out a little poem or a little letter.
Even before the final votes are tallied, in many respects, Chasten feels they're already victorious.
I obviously want Pete to be president, but if for some reason it doesn't work out, I will not for one moment hang my head in shame.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.